Like the Beacons, QPR have won a football match for the first time in 8 championship matches. I was sat in the loft for QPR 2, Millwall 0, so let's get straight into it. Both QPR and Millwall left it late into this week for their first bits of January transfer activity. First with Millwall announcing the bizarre loan signing of Japhet Tanganga from Spurs. Strange firstly on the fact that they've been pretty strong defensively until their 3-1 loss against Borough last weekend. And secondly because it seems that like many championship sides, it is attacking acquisitions that they could do with. QPR's first outgoing of the month, on the other hand, the invisible man Andre Dazelle on loan to Birmingham, is even weirder. Not because I think he's a loss by any means, but because someone at Birmingham has watched the atrocious sides put out by QPR over the past 18 months and signed Tyler Roberts, Ethan Laird and now Andre Dazelle. Some have questioned whether his departure leaves us light for the run-in, but we've been losing with and without him in the side, so I think it makes very little difference overall. To really put into perspective his inadequacy during his Rangers tenure, Dom Ball had a better goals to game ratio in his time. After last weekend's loss to Watford, Marty did call for the club to be creative in the January transfer window, and it looks like this is exactly that. And hopefully this bit of business frees up some wages for at least a loan or two to come in before the window shuts. Anyway, as I mentioned in my match preview, Millwall's win against QPR at the Den on Boxing Day triggered a trio of wins, which were then halted by their FA Cup third round loss to Leicester City and a 3-1 home thrashing against Middlesbrough last weekend. Rangers, of course, have so far failed to capitalise on their golden opportunity of 5 home games in January, and with 2 left going into today's tie, it's really felt like we've been waving away our chances of turning this season around. Quite simply, today was now or never. So I was very pleased to see a strong Rangers side before kickoff, with Steve Cook finally returning to the side in the place of Jimmy Dunn. Paul Smith was supposed to come in for Willock, but felt something in his thigh in the warm-up, so Willock remained in the team. Now the opening minutes were pretty lively. Firstly with Marty getting a yellow card within 2 minutes, clearly saying something that the linesman didn't like after Chris Willock was hacked down. And then soon after, Sinclair was battling for the ball, heading for goal and absolutely blasting the ball into the upper tier of the away end. All inside 4 minutes. Elias Chair would then have our best effort of the opening minutes, with Armstrong winning the ball down the wing after a Millwall corner, and Chair's trademark shot cutting it in on the edge of the box, being safely caught by the keeper. For the next 20 minutes though, until our first goal, we were pretty poor. Despite having a fair bit of the ball, we couldn't stop giving it away. Reggie Cannon was the biggest culprit here, giving the ball away on 3 separate occasions, and also giving Millwall a corner after his ill-judged header back to Steve Cook. Powell was up to it on the left-hand side too, and even Begovic started to join him before we found the first goal. To me, like the earlier spells of the Watford match, it looked like no one was really willing to take a risk. There were times where we were clearly trying to hit Armstrong in the channels, but the quality of ball was just not there. And we were also trying to play it around the back again, causing ourselves problems. That was a really frustrating opening quarter of the match for me, but on 27 minutes it suddenly changed. Firstly with Lyndon Dykes brilliantly winning the ball in the middle in his new number 10 role, taking the ball down and setting Willock off down the right wing. He cut back, looped the ball to the back post, and Elias Chair, supposedly wanted for hitting a lorry driver with a rock, slipped in behind his marker and trickled the ball into the back of the net. A great goal, out of nothing really, and the impact of it was huge, because after this we really settled into the match. One player who I thought really contributed to that was Jack Colback. Not only did he break up play really well alongside Sam Field today, with some excellent strong tackles in the middle, but after the goal he also started to really improve our distribution. That meant we relied less on playing out the back, and actually had a player who could pick up the ball, pivot, and advance us up the pitch. I thought he was very good today, drastically better than his confused performance of last week, and this was probably his best appearance in a QPR shirt to date. And I was really pleased to see that we didn't sit back after the goal and we went looking for the second. Willock's close shot on the edge of the box sailed over the crossbar on 32 minutes, and Lyndon Dykes would curl one just round the right post on 35. Aside from a fluffed shot from Kevin Nisbet in the box right at the end of the half, Millwall offered very little here. No surprise given they failed to score more than 1 goal in each of their 5 appearances since beating QPR on Boxing Day, in which they of course scored 2. So on one hand you can put this first half down to Millwall's toothlessness, but I've got to say despite their initial nervousness, our defence looked really good here. The difference Steve Cook makes is pretty immeasurable to be honest. So, half time, 1-0, more of that in the second half please Rangers. And we did get more of that in the second half. In fact, we did the rare thing of stringing together two semi-decent halves of football for once. A minute in, a nice link up from Chair and Willock won us a corner, but Dykes was unable to win the header at the back post from Chair's excellent corner ball. 3 minutes later, Dykes would narrowly head past the post and he'd shoot straight at the keeper another 3 minutes after that. Now don't get me wrong here, this is not criticism of Dykes. It was great to see Lyndon putting himself about and actually having a few chances. He was pretty good at linking up and winning balls in the middle today in that new role. He was far less a hindrance than last week, so long may that continue. Armstrong too, again, was constantly putting himself about, chasing long balls over the top and down the channels, nearly putting the ball in the net after blocking the keeper's goal kick, and he just kept on going. I was really impressed with him last week despite not scoring, and we got that same level of energy today. By the time we hit the hour mark, Millwall really hadn't done very much at all. But with QPR dominating the game up to this point and pressing high, it was inevitable that our energy was going to dip at some point. And so a couple of chances started to come Millwall's way around the 70-minute mark. Jack Colback once again everywhere, chased down Millwall who were on the break, and excellently intercepted to break up a really strong chance for them. On 71 minutes, starting to build a little bit into the game, they would have their closest chance. First, they crossed the ball into the far post, with Powell narrowly beating his man, but the ball was redistributed and rolled out to the edge of the box to Billy Mitchell, in a situation almost identical to Jake Livermore's 2 goals last week, and he hit his shot hard and low across the box, to be blocked off the line by Reggie Cannon, redeeming himself for his first half antics in my eyes, but we got away with it. With mounting pressure, it would have been very QPR to fold at this point, but we stayed compact after their spell on the ball, and we kept driving. Point we were dying for a substitution to be made. We really needed some fresh legs, I thought. And those prayers were answered on the 82nd minute with our first substitution, but I was surprised to see those were the fresh legs of none other than Albert Adoma of all people. Not quite what I'd had it in mind, but with a bench as thin as ours, I guess Marty's hands are pretty tied. And I imagine he was probably looking for a little bit of experience to help see out the game here. There was also the fact that despite the waning levels of energy, everyone was playing pretty well, so it was quite hard to tell who to take off. It was of course Chris Willock who departed, who had a much better game than last week, but this felt like the right choice. And most importantly, this change didn't hinder things. Our resolve and determination finally paid off on the 85th minute, with Chair picking up the ball on the left, cutting inside the box and lightly lining up the ball to Jack Colback, whose powerful, accurate shot was spilled by the keeper before Mr. Sinclair Armstrong pounced to stab the ball into the back of the net. His first home league goal, which released, quite frankly, a guttural scream of adoration from me, completely against my own will. Finally, we had killed off a game, and there was no one I wanted to score more than Armstrong. A great goal all round, first from Chair's trickery to get inside the box, then Jack's sweet and strong hit, and of course Sinclair's quick reaction to tap it in the back of the net. There's been a couple of similar situations earlier in the season that Armstrong hasn't been quite ready to jump at, so I was really pleased to see him take this chance today. Just like last week, today he hassled, he battered, he ran, and he got his reward with his second goal in 3 games. As I said in my last video, I really wanted to see Marty keep the faith in him, and it paid off. He got his chance to make up for last week. From here, the game slowly petered out and the 3 points were finally sealed. What a huge win that is. Don't get me wrong, this was a poor Millwall performance today, with just 2 shots overall in 90 minutes. But let's be honest, we've lost to teams just like this many a time this season, and we lost to this exact same team who had won just once in 12 going into that fixture, just under a month ago at the Den. With Huddersfield, Rotherham and Sheffield Wednesday all dropping points today, we've actually capitalised here for once, and we now sit just 3 points from safety, setting up an absolutely huge match against Huddersfield at home next Sunday, which could see us trade places with them on goal difference if we do actually manage to back it up with another win. If we play like we did today, tidying up the complacency of that opening 25 minutes, we really have a good chance of doing that. But for now, let's enjoy today's win, because that is so much more like it. Colback was my man of the match personally. We've been dying for someone to run the midfield like that. But in real honesty, there were multiple candidates today, with Chair, Armstrong and Cook all being very deserving of that accolade. As I said in my last video, Cook is the key to this defence, and the pairing of him and Jake Clark-Salter is top quality. In fact, they're actually yet to concede a goal in their pairing together in 3 matches. The real task is going to be keeping these players fit over the coming months, because this side at full strength can do some really good things when it's not shooting itself in the foot. Hopefully we can manage to get a fresh face or 2 in with the wages that we freed up from Andre Giselle now. And if we can find the 3 points next weekend, who knows what could happen. Thank you so much for watching as usual. Do let me know your thoughts on the match in the comments down below. And as usual, if you've enjoyed the video, please do hit like and subscribe. See you midweek for my Huddersfield preview. Cheers!